Hey Raindrops, on today's episode, Reality Crime Stories, I am back with my co-host Courtney Parker and our special guest, Judge Terrinee, to break down today's hot topics. We have so many updates for you guys. Courtney and Terrinee, are y'all ready for this?
We are.
Probably not.
We ready for your disclaimer. We know that much.
Right.
Could I get it now, later, or
Do it
and
now,
or
girl.
both?
Get out the way as I drink my smoothie. I'm doing 2 smoothies a day.
Is that
Okay.
all you're eating?
Okay. Yes. Summertime fine.
Yes, yes. It's March and I need to be fine for a look. I want to be fine from May to August. So that's the
Are we getting married in the summer?
No.
Okay,
I
okay.
want to marry the sand.
And
So,
raindrops, I know you hate me, but I'm going to tell you just again, I am here for legal education only. I cannot discuss the facts of any open case. I cannot give you legal advice. I am just here to explain the legal terms and concepts and processes to you. Yes, I know you hate me, but I still love coming here trying.
they love you actually
Love
because
you. Right.
yes, yes, no, they actually love you, which is good because we really have a lot to talk about this evening. The first update is breaking news. This just came out 3 hours ago. Okay, so raindrops. We recorded this on Wednesday. You're seeing it now on Thursday. So the good thing is we're now able to talk about something that just came out, and that is the latest update with Dr. Wendy and Eddie Osefo from the Real Housewives of Potomac, which all of you all know that they were arrested for alleged crime of insurance fraud. So, Courtney and Terrinee, this is what happened today.
Okay.
Okay. The update is both parties are going to be tried separately.
Got it.
Okay. So Wendy and Eddie, a married couple, where the feds have alleged that they both committed insurance fraud. This married couple is now being tried separately. Okay. Wendy and Eddie, well, let me start by saying this. Eddie waived his rights to a speedy
Oh, wow.
trial, okay, which is being tried within 180 days of being charged. So he waived his rights to a speedy trial. There was extensive discovery, and he wants to take a deeper dive per the prosecution.
Okay. And he's a lawyer, right?
He's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
He's a
Okay.
lawyer.
That's interesting.
On the other hand, his wife, Wendy, the housewife, she wants her trial to start immediately. She did not waive her right to a speedy trial. The
Okay.
defense and the prosecution were looking for dates in March this month. However, there were none available for a jury trial.
Hmm.
So, Wendy, she would not be able to have a trial as quickly as she wanted. The original trial date for her would have been April 15th of this year, next month. Due to the trial schedule, it will have to be pushed out until May, but she was willing to go to trial soon. With all of that being said, the speculation has always arose, which is, are Wendy and Eddie setting themselves up to have Eddie take the fall?
Hmm.
And that has been the question that people have been asking since the inception. And a little update for the two of you, because I'm not sure you two busy ladies are caught up on the Real Housewives of Potomac.
She's a
We are
turn.
not.
I am. I am. and
Wait,
mainly I
Yes,
am.
let me speak for myself.
Yes.
I am not.
you're not. But Courtney, did you watch the reunion? It was three
I
part.
I did because I am a huge Karen fan.
Okay. So
So,
Courtney,
yeah.
you know this. So Tyranny, there was a scene where the cameras picked up a week after they were arrested when we first did our live months ago.
Yep.
And Wendy told her husband, "What does this mean for our marriage? Because I am no longer the same person after this." And it was a shock to all of us. I am all as well, because
As well.
they were, this they give very
They were
much,
the
you
power
know,
couple.
a power couple, united front. So for her to say that, we were like, wait a minute. And now to hear that they're going to be tried separately, to now hear Eddie wanted to wait, she wanted to get hers over with. It is this assumption that is, will Eddie take the fall? Wendy will be home with the kids. Um, I know you can't say much, but
Can't say much,
based
but
on,
I do have some, yeah, I have some
go ahead,
strategic questions when Carlos finishes.
take it
You're
away.
finished? Okay. Because I hear you, Carlos, and I'm wondering if it's going to be like a Joe and Teresa situation. Um,
Explain to Tierney what that means.
well, a Joe and Teresa, Real Housewives of New Jersey, to where he got more, she got like the Martha Stewart treatment, and he got like more time for embezzlement and fraud and all those things, which later led to his deportation, but that was separate.
And
Um,
she went to jail first, and he was
First
able to stay home with the
with
kids.
the
And
kids,
then when
and
she
then
got home, he had to go to jail.
he had to go to jail. So, but here becomes my question. And because he's a lawyer, I'm curious as to what you sent me about what prosecution sightings that they see. Like, I'm curious as to what discoveries, the extensive discoveries and what that means for them to separate. So I know you can't speak on open cases, and this is clearly very open, but what you can educate us on is strategy. Is this a good strategy to be tried separately versus together
I,
strategically
right. So again, yes, I cannot comment on any specific case, but just when we are talking about the severance of trials for co-defendants, there are a couple things that I would say you have to keep in mind. And the first thing is that the burden of proof is always on the prosecutor. Because these are criminal charges, the prosecutor has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendants actually committed the crime. Anytime you have co-defendants and you have a trial where we're one trial instead of the trials being severed, you could run up into several different issues.
okay
So one of the things is you could confuse the jury. Instead of proving your burden that someone is actually guilty beyond reasonable doubt, you're like allowing finger pointing between the two
oh that's good
defendants. So that is something that could be problematic.
okay
In any criminal trial, the evidence is always going to lead. There may be evidence that is more damning towards one person
versus the
than
other,
another person.
got it.
Or there may be evidence that isn't as damning, but it's confusing to
Right.
a jury when the evidence only is going to apply to one defendant versus two defendants. And it's really hard for a jury, even though they would be given instructions to disregard, not impute this evidence to both defendants, it's really hard to unhear something.
Right. No matter what
And
instructions are. Right.
whatever the instructions are. So then you have possible spillage of over into each defendant's case. It becomes very messy. So there's no, and again, I know I'm always repeating this. I'm always repeating this, but I just want the public, the raindrops, to be fair and not to jump to conclusions. Severing your trials does not mean you are guilty of anything. It just means that you want to be treated fairly. You want to make sure that the prosecution meets its burden for each defendant in the most fair and just manner. And the court is going to allow that.
So it does sound like, from a strategic point of view, this is good. I like the thought process of confusion. When you add in confusion, it is harder to prove burden. If I'm saying, well, there is evidence that you knew, you're going to have to really prove that I knew, juxtapose me, my attorney saying, well, I didn't know. Is it likely that it's going to be the same prosecutor having to try both of these cases? It's going to be the same prosecutor typically, right?
It's going to be the same prosecution office.
Okay.
Mm.
So there are different district. There's one district attorney, but there are different assistant district attorneys, and
Right.
so the district attorney may assign different assistant district attorneys to these cases and or assign the same. It depends again about the calendars, the trial schedules, the motions for discovery. If one person can handle that with it being severed.
Right. That's going to be so interesting, Carlos, because you know, we see this oftentimes in high profile cases, um, especially when they're separate. It's going to be challenging to get, unbiased jurors within the same district. It's going to be talked about so much, especially if she goes first and he delays. The outcome of hers, even though we know that it couldn't, but it could possibly show prejudice against somebody gearing up for him. He's an attorney, so they probably all talked about this. What is going to be the best strategy? My question becomes, and Carlos,
And
this is
I just want to make a note that I think again the public and the raindrops need to be made aware of when you sever into two different trials, you have to understand that you can get two different outcomes simply because you have two
right.
different juries.
Uh,
So the
Yeah,
juries are going to
mm,
interpret the documents, the
right,
evidence, the communications. They could see them totally different. If you have the same or a different prosecutor, they could present the evidence differently. The defense strategy could be different between the two trials. So simply, it doesn't mean you're going to be prejudiced. It is very well likely and possible that you could get a different outcome with the exact same evidence. Because remember, we got two different juries.
right,
that's actually very smart. I'm glad you brought that up because the thing is this. Everything is strategy. I mean, I don't think
yep,
that's like a secret when it comes to anything dealing with trial. I think it's part of the profession. Everything in life is strategy when it comes to work, corporate America, no
yep,
matter what you do for a living.
But
So the
in the trial, and we
oh,
can't lose sight of this, I didn't
go
mean to
ahead,
cut you off, but I just
please.
think it's important. We always have to remember the biggest thing about a criminal trial is that it is not my position to prove my innocence. It is the prosecutor's burden to prove my guilt
Yeah,
beyond a reasonable doubt. So
yeah.
I could show up and do absolutely nothing. The prosecutor has to do their job, which is different than a corporate America job. It's more give take. But in a criminal trial, the burden lies solely on the prosecutor to prove guilt.
got it.
Yeah. So,
What were you gonna say, Carlos?
because the thing is this, and I want to lay it out all on the table for us to talk about. we have to go back to the discovery of the emails,
Hmm.
right? So to refresh your memory, Eddie allegedly
Allegedly.
sent an email to his wife stating one of the claims that they will be able to get X amount more dollars if they claim up to X amount of dollars. There's there's allegedly an email from Eddie to Wendy about that, which presumably, right, shows that he was the
Orchestrator.
orchestrator
Yep.
of all of this, right? And that was something that I remember when we did our live a few months ago that stayed with all of us, not meaning the three of us, meaning like the audience. I'm
The
the
audience.
audience, right?
Right. Mhm.
Now fast forward later, we're in March, and they're being tried separately. We saw a scene where they discussed the idea of what does this mean for our marriage.
Right.
Um, there's a real possible case in terms of Wendy saying, "I had no idea what he was doing.
Hmm.
This was all him, not me. I'm an innocent bystander." And that's that.
Can I say this? And
But
this is what,
wait.
okay, go ahead.
But from a legal standpoint, and again, um, Tierney gave us her disclaimer. If is that I'm trying to ask a question she can answer. Uh,
That she will answer.
right.
My shady remark
Yes.
really quickly. I'm like, but if you're going to go off of, I didn't know what he was doing, did you know you still had the ring on in photographs that you claimed was stolen?
Well, that's the thing because the other thing with that, Courtney, is most people recreate their ring if they lost it or it was stolen. So,
Hmm.
but my question is this: based on the information that is in the discovery, is it plausible to defend that the wife knew nothing about it?
You must be talking to Courtney.
Courtney, I tried.
Case, but not in this case. But how likely is it? Let me ask another question, Carlos. Is it a plausible defense for a spouse to claim no knowledge of something in charges that are being, charged against both of them? How, especially now that they're not being tried together, um, where can spousal privilege come into play? And then where can spousal ignorance come into play? Like, can I just say if I'm married and we're in hot water, now our trials are separate, and I'm saying, listen, I really did not know what he was up to. Clearly,
Mhm.
this was his plan. There is, I'm wondering, are there emails with her responding?
There wasn't. Not
There
not
was.
not
So,
in the discovery. No.
okay. So then,
I will say, anytime you have two co-defendants and they sever a trial, there's always the possibility. I'm sure you guys have seen Law and Order where they have pointed the finger at the other
wrote for the
person.
show. Yeah.
Yes, that was
For
a
that.
shameless plug for my friend. But where you point, and that is one of your legal strategies. You sever the
Yeah,
trial so that you can say, I didn't do it, the other person did it,
did it.
which is why I keep repeating to you all. And people hate when I repeat, sorry, raindrops,
Mhm.
but it's the truth. The prosecution has to prove that each defendant is saying what they're saying is true. They have to
Right.
prove that the defendant didn't know, because in any crime, you generally have to have intent. And so the prosecution is going to have to prove intent as a part of that element.
Got it.
That is a part of whether I knew or not, or I didn't know, or I participated. simply, again, our simplest form, conspiracy. A crime
Right.
was committed between two people, but you have to prove that the person knew that there was a crime going on and they had the intent to break the law.
Yeah.
Right. So then to answer your question and say what she can't say, Carlos, absolutely.
She is not speaking for me,
I'm
Raindrop.
not
She's
speaking for
speaking for
her.
herself.
I'm speaking, listen, I'm speaking as a fan of the show and deciphering what she's talking about. Yeah, she's doing this to say I didn't know anything about those emails. I didn't even get the emails. And what have you done? And what's going to be the state of our marriage now?
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is this because we called this out months
Right.
ago. And by we
Yeah.
meaning me and Courtney and the audience that we sort of knew just based on the discovery, based on the responses from Wendy and Eddie's legal team that is very plausible that he will take the fall for it. And look, this is a legal question. I think it's a question of morality, of morals, right? In terms of as the man of the house.
Well, I
Right.
also just want to caution you from saying take the fall. Again, the
Because then that's
prosecutor,
admitting guilt.
yeah,
Right.
that implies
Right.
guilt.
That
The
Okay.
implies
I
guilt.
appreciate that.
prosecution
Yeah.
has to prove their case against both parties.
Right.
Full stop. They have to prove their guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
And that's hard to
And since
do
she's being
sometimes.
right,
And
since
I
she's
would
being
just
charged,
say, like, my children, with no ill intent, again, and maybe I should be like Carlos and not give anybody my passwords.
mhm.
But everybody has my password. And my children have gone into my phone. They've sent text messages. They have sent emails from my email. Again, they were not doing criminal behavior, I don't think. I mean, or anything that I would think, but it is possible that if
Right,
something were to come back later, they had access to my
right,
devices,
they do.
even though it looked like I sent a message
Yeah.
or an email. Maybe I didn't, because when you're in an intimate space with loved ones, it gets even trickier. It's
But you
a lot of things to dissect anytime you're talking about criminal code conspirators who have intimate relationships.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's listen, we will see what happens.
I
More
do
to come
so.
with this. Courtney, you're a fan of the show, you're a fan of the Osefos. What are your final thoughts about this case? Do you see a world to where, like Terrinee said, do you think the prosecution can prove this case based on what your knowledge is?
Yeah, right
And
now.
and Courtney obviously is studying law as well. Is this something that, based on your current knowledge and you being a fan of the show, do you think that the prosecution is going to have a hard time proving that they're guilty upon a reasonable doubt?
I honestly think it was genius to separate. I think Wendy's defense team will prey on her celebrity. She's doing a remarkable job of making sure that people know how smart she is, how intelligent their family is, and this wealth was earned and not fraudulent. So, having said that, I do believe one of them will walk away from this unscathed, and likely will be her. If I'm a betting woman and I'm headed to Vegas, my money is bet on her coming out of this with a not guilty verdict. Him, there might be something, but it might not be straight up fraud, but it definitely, because he's an attorney, I think there will be some type of negligence. Because at some point, you know better.
Hmm.
You know better simply because he was an attorney. So, and again, just in even my very, 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 very incubated knowledge of the law. He is a lawyer. He took certain oaths. He's very savvy with this. So I think when they're taking ignorance will not be bliss for him. Even though she's a professor, ignorance in this case, there is some negligence there, no matter how you skin this cat. That's just my
Yeah, no,
personal.
no. I wanted you
I'm
to have a.
so curious to watch. I think they both know, but I also think Terrinee is absolutely correct. This is going to be a tall order for the prosecution to fulfill because they're going to have probably top-notch lawyers defending both of them.
And I will just remind the public and raindrops that negligence, making mistakes,
Hmm.
is not always criminal behavior. We all make mistakes.
Yep.
We all have oversight. We all do things that could be looked at as extremely stupid, but it does have to rise to the level of criminal behavior and it has to be proven.
Right. So I think they were perfect in separating. I think she'll be okay. Uh, and I think, I'm not going to ever predict a slap on the wrist for him, but I think that something will happen. He will be held to some accountability for it. But yeah, we're just going to be watching. And
Yeah.
and
And there is one scenario we did not talk about in severing.
oh, what's that?
Someone could be a cooperating witness.
Both of us were like, oh, you're absolutely right.
Tell us more.
I
Educate
said
us.
enough.
No, you educate us. This is good education. Courtney's
I
in law
said
school.
enough.
By the way, Ray Jobs, Courtney Parker's in law school, in case y'all didn't know
I
that.
am. I
Like,
am.
I'm
Yes.
not being funny. She's in
Not
law
the
school.
University of Law and Order.
Yeah,
Actual.
no. No, Courtney, so in real life, guys, just so you know, for the past is how recent is it? A month or two?
It's been now almost 30 days, right?
Spring
30 days.
First,
semester.
She's in
first
law.
semester.
She's in law school. So educate us, Tyranny. So there's
Yeah.
a possibility of a cooperating witness between one of them.
So anytime you have co-defendants and you sever a trial, it could simply be because
Wow.
you have a cooperating witness, someone who has decided that they are going to testify for the state, and they possibly, so you don't want to mix that together. So you're going to separate it, and then
Wendy,
that,
I am not going down for you, my dude. I am not. No, just kidding.
again, I am not speaking to this case at all. I am just
Right.
giving you scenarios of when possibilities of trials actually being severed.
And this is
I'm
why
like that
she's
Cynthia
the judge.
Revo meme. I'm just like my mind
I
is
was going, I was
You were
I
gonna
was
not
really
say this?
going to withhold it because I don't like for people to jump to presumptions.
no, this is legal
This
But
is
information.
I mean,
right.
this is definitely a possibility when you are severing trials.
God. Bombshell. Love it.
So I'll say this, and you don't, and obviously, listen, Judge ain't gonna say nothing she want to say, Charles. We know.
At
So
all.
Courtney,
Have you met me?
right, with that legal knowledge that we just received, um, do you see a world where Wendy would testify against Eddie?
Hmm. I think, yes, I do see a world. I do see a world because you're also talking about a mom.
Mm.
Um, we don't know what conversations they've had. We don't know that even in his, assumed or or alleged guilt of making a mistake, that he didn't say, save yourself and the kids. We don't know the severity of anything right now. So if it would be not necessarily a slap in the face for a wife to say, I've got to do this because I honestly did not know. I think it would be kind of, integral for the man to say, you've got to do this to save our family because I made a mistake. So I do feel, because I don't want to assume an emotion here. I don't want to assume the emotion of him just not being anything. If he did, if there is an alleged mistake that's been made, if there was an alleged oversight on something, and now they're in sticky and hot water. Um, I would respect him if he says, "Hey, you got to do what you got to do for our family." And I'll take this on. Because I don't want to make the assumption that anything was done with ill intent, and I don't want to make the assumption that they're not in a good place of understanding.
And I
So,
will just note that anytime you're talking about trials, whether it is one trial or two trials, you're always going to be moving according to the calendar and the docket, according to the court. So the defendants are not going to be in charge of that. They're going to be, they can waive the right to a speedy trial or not, which means that they're going to go on this trial calendar within 6 months if they don't. But the judge is going to manage the calendar and the schedule. I'm giving this procedural information because it's always important to realize that you can always have a settlement before trial.
trial. Mm-hmm.
And settlement negotiations are generally not going to be public unless there's a settlement. And
Mm.
and those things happen every day, all the time, up until the day of trial.
So anything can happen in the in between right now. And they're not being detained, correct, Carlos? They're
No, they're at
free.
home. They're
They're at
home.
home. They're chilling.
Yeah.
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 So a lot can happen
Yeah.
between now and their trial date. They're not, yeah.
Which
So
is why I
that's
always say should let the process work. Let's not get caught up in partial evidence that you guys believe you've reviewed out of context.
oh, we're trying to get to
Read
the
us for filth,
reality.
why don't you?
She's like, don't jump to
Don't
conclusions.
jump to
Don't listen
conclusions.
to
Let
your
the legal
blog.
process play out. That's what it's here for.
We're jumping
Yeah.
to conclusions. We're boiling the tea. We're sipping the tea. And we're watching the reunions. And we're insinuating everything in her comment of, I don't know if our marriage is what's going to be the fate of our marriage. We have taken that comment and ran with it.
This is this is more to come, more to come. But no, Judge, thank you for this raindrops. Judge gave us some very great educational information for us to use that to our own devices. So we will obviously circle back with you guys when we hear much more. The next case up the docket we have is,
Not on the docket.
Do I need like, yeah,
after Courtney finishes law school in 4 years, I'll be your next student and mentee. So, next on the docket, we have Brit Eady. Um, so this is the latest update, guys, when it comes to the lawsuit that Brit Eady has against
And just
Bravo.
so the raindrops are up to speed, we're shifting from criminal to civil.
yeah,
Ooh,
we are.
see? This is why you need a judge in your life. Okay, so we are transitioning from the criminal case between the Ocephos to now the civil case as we talk about Brit Eady. So, raindrops, as of late February 2026, former one season Real Housewives of Atlanta star
See?
Brit Eady That wasn't shade. She quit.
Shay,
It wasn't shade. She quit. She's one season. She quit. In her defense, she quit. She
you
quit.
could have just said former. You could have just
But I
said
wanted, in case they're like, in case some people are like, wait, what? So I wanted to make sure she was on the show season 16. Okay.
You're being factual, Carlos.
Thank you. See, I'm in law school. Hello. Thank you. Tyranny. Okay. Brit Eady has dropped her $20 million New York State lawsuit against Bravo, NBC Universal, and the production companies regarding the explicit photo scandal. However, Brit Eady has filed a new 61-page federal complaint in the Southern District of New York. The suit alleges defamation, emotional distress, and sexual harassment regarding a 2024 Real Housewives of Atlanta incident. As you all know, is when Kenya Moore showed um, what we all assumed was an explicit photo of Brit Eady. Brit Eady said to us that wasn't her. So I do have a question for you in regards to that, Terrinee. So, Courtney, don't make me, please, because the radio's going to get me. Don't make me forget to ask a question about the photo that caused this stir. She's now
right.
saying wasn't her. So, the key details regarding the lawsuit update um, is she's alleging that the network knowingly aired what she claims is a deep fake image, and because of that, it created a hostile work environment. Now, I have tons of questions. Courtney, I'll have you ask a question about dropping the case only to file another one. But my question is this from a legal standpoint. I'm going to ask it. If you can't answer it, let us know, child.
Okay, child.
I love this group.
Don't you love it?
I
Okay.
love this group.
So, if I am suing the network because of an image that I thought was me, it I'm saying after watching the episode it's not me, but I suffered emotional distress because the photo that the world didn't see. They didn't see it because they didn't air it. They didn't air the photo, just so you all know, they pixelated it. They blurred it. They blurred it. What? I mean, listen, you can sue anybody. So we know that. I think all of us are confused in terms of if you're saying that this photo that caused this brouhaha isn't you, then how did it impact your livelihood? Because the world never saw the photo. And if it's not you and the woman who did it got fired, they you stayed on the show, you kept your job. I think we're all confused why there is a lawsuit to begin with.
Let me say something first,
Go ahead.
before she educates us. It does speak to, though, and Carlos, as producers and showrunners, we understand intent. And we understand storylines going in that were, whether we get it wrong or not, we know as, and I'm not saying, I mean, we allegedly know what storylines are going to go before they are. Our cast typically does not surprise us. There are moments where cast can surprise us, but when you're show running, when you know we have these network calls, we're on these things day in and day out. We know every intricate part of our shows. So it's we're rarely surprised. So whether it was wrong, the wrong image was printed, where does the intent to do this harm come in? And I just wanted to note that because I'm not confused on what was printed, what was part of storyline, and if I'm Brit, she's saying and claiming whether they got the photo wrong. Y'all knew about this. You intended to try to blow up the spot. You showed a pixelated version of this, and this became story. So now everybody's looking online, searching the internet for the real photos of me. I'm now having to defend myself as a cast member where I'm supposed to feel safe. And somebody, if not all of y'all, knew what was up. So that was just my two
Okay.
cents. And
Yeah.
that was my two cents as a creator of reality TV, as a showrunner of reality TV, and as a responsible producer and executive producer of reality TV. You know yourself, Carlos, how much stuff gets blamed and sat in your desk, in your lap, whether you knew about it or not, whether you can manage it or not. So I think that's where Brit is possibly coming from. Doesn't matter if it was the wrong one, the story remains the same. Tyranny?
I will just say that legally, the issue comes with if the photo was false light or misrepresentation or misappropriation of someone's likeness, with defamation, with all of these claims, it's always going to be similar things. It has to be false. So that's one of the prongs. It can't actually be true. So it has to be false. If it's a photo or not a photo of you, that's the first prong. Okay.
So it
Somebody
has
put
to be, explain that to us. It has to be the wrong thing. If she's saying it's not her,
so again, I'm not talking about your case. I'm just
okay, yeah,
saying.
yeah. I'm sorry. My bad. My bad, friend. My bad.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm saying a definite defamation, misappropriation of likeness, false light. You have got to show that it was falseness involved.
When
You
you
put
say
out
that,
something,
go,
the,
I'm
the
sorry.
person being accused put out something that was false or said something that was not true.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So I'll
It went out to the public and it caused harm.
got it.
Mhm.
So in this case, that if I posted a photo of you doing something sexual and I tell people this photo is of you, and let's say that the photo was doctored,
Mhm.
because of my intent in making the world believe
Right.
this photo is of you and it isn't, I still suffered defamation.
Right.
Got it.
That is correct.
Got it. Okay.
Love when she says that.
All right. So
That is
raindrops. That was
correct.
because that was the main question the raindrops had. Now the other
And,
main.
in this world of AI, we have to really, the courts are really looking at this in a stricter and harder manner because you have to realize that the damage that you can do to a person's reputation. I mean, I'll just use myself in my field. If someone put out a photo of me that is not true or not my real likeness with the intent to mislead people, to harm my reputation, that is an issue.
That is an issue.
But what I find so fascinating is this: the person who did the crime, right? Meaning posted the image,
Right.
that person isn't being sued.
Ooh.
Well, I don't know anything about these cases.
No,
Y'all
no,
know
no, no,
that.
no.
No, but
I
that's
just
what
have a
No.
question.
So again, from when we're talking about lawsuits, you can enjoin different parties. I don't know who is a party to these lawsuits,
Yeah.
but again, anytime we are talking about workplace harassment,
Mhm.
then you may sue the person who is actually harassing you, but you can enjoin your actual employer.
And in the reverse, you can sue the employer and not necessarily the person who's harassing you.
because it depends on what your claims are and what you can prove, because you still have to prove all of the elements.
And that's the thing, because the thing is this: if you have to prove that that's not you, because it okay. If I'm suing you, saying Tyranny posted a picture of me on Instagram to defame me, it's me in a very inappropriate position. That's not me. The world thought it was me. I'm embarrassed. Um, and I sue. Y'all, you and whomever would have to prove that that's not me, right?
Well, you're the person. So we're in civil law now, right?
Yeah. So if
The
I'm suing
burden is
you,
going to
oh,
shift in civil law
tell me, okay, tell me that. Why is the burden going to shift in civil law?
because the person, whoever files the lawsuit, has to prove what they are accusing the defendant of.
Got it. Okay.
So
I have
we're not in a criminal case where the prosecutor or the opposing party, I guess is what we would call the defendant in this case,
right,
it is not up to them to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. It's
right.
very different standards for criminal versus civil, which is why when we transition from criminal
Yeah.
civil law, I wanted to make that notation.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So you don't have to prove nothing in terms of no, that's Carlos. That is him. I, the person who's suing you, I have to prove
I
that,
have to show that it was false, that it
yes,
was made public, and that there was harm done. And then
yeah.
I have to actually show the damages.
Got it. Got it. That's good. That's
But
good.
I think one of the things that we're missing in this is no, the person, and in this case, it's Kenya, is not being sued by Brit. Is it possible? And this question is kind of for you, Carlos, and we can do the delicate dance of conversation because we both have shows, we both showrun our shows, but where is the onus on the network? Because the network ultimately has knowledge and approves certain storylines. Is that why Brit is targeting them versus Kenya? Because that's always been her claim. She's
My
always claimed y'all knew, the producers knew that she was about to do this.
not well. The thing is this: I read the document. Brit
Okay.
is more alleging that as we talk specifics, Brit is alleging that
Can I ask a factual question?
yes,
Yes.
Because I have no knowledge of any of this, and raindrops, that's intentional. I never want to know about the cases because I
Yep.
know you always are saying you all should, they're telling me you should read, you should know. That's not what
Yeah.
I'm here for to comment. So I specifically and intentionally do not ever read the documents because I'm not commenting on that. But factually, I just am curious about this show. Did the show actually air a
no,
pixelated image?
they aired a blurred image where you could not identify who it was. So
And so the show aired something
Yep.
that I could
Alluded to.
believe
yes,
Yeah.
or
yes,
presume
yes,
was
And
mixed.
there was
yes.
almost a gotcha moment in the storyline. And
And
after
then so I
all
have
of this,
another question. And this is
okay.
for my producers, showrunners, just because I don't understand how
No,
things
no, go
work.
ahead.
These shows are not live, right? They're edited.
No, correct.
Mhm.
And so when
I
you
I know where
edit,
you're going.
you can control.
Yep.
You can't control whether or not you want to show that. Yes,
And
Okay.
go down that rabbit hole.
yes.
So that is a producer's showrunner's job, right?
The network is a it's
The
a
net,
so
it's
so
bigger than just
it's
the
bigger than a
showrunner and
producer.
the excuse.
Well,
Right.
let's call it a global show. Like
Yes,
Absolutely.
the show decides what people see or what the public sees
yes,
on
Absolutely.
television.
correct.
Okay. And none of the what do you call them? Bravo levities. None of the Bravo levities actually control any of that.
No, no.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
And
So
in producers and showrunners' defense, our biggest contender is always going to be the network. The network always has final say. So when people wanting to do reality TV, understand that once they purchase the show, you can have a lot of influence, but it is there inevitably it is their show. You're running a show. And if you have wonderful creators and partners like the Carlos King, then 9 times out of 10, things like this won't get out of hand because you have somebody really, really, really sincerely advocating and fighting for talent.
yeah, and to answer your question earlier,
Networks also have legal departments.
yeah. So I was
Absolutely.
going to say that the thing is this, and this is what I always tell people because I get blamed for everything, child, because I'm the face of the production.
Right.
Just like when you are the head of the household, if something goes awry in your home, your neighbors are going to blame the head of the household, right? It is what it is.
Yep.
But look at it that way. However, legally, right?
Right.
Um, it's it's not us. We
Right.
there there's so many people above me. And in the words of the cool kids, it's above me now. It's
Love me
above
now.
my pay grade.
That's
Pay
one of my
grade.
favorite quotes.
Yes, it's above me
Love
now. It's above my pay grade. That is the case for all producers.
me.
I
Yep.
am not a network. The network has final say. So everything Courtney said, they
Right.
say yay or nay, and you can have suggestions, but ultimately they're the one holding the purse strings. And like you said too,
Right.
Terrinee, they also have an entire legal department that
Mhm.
looks at things. And the reason why this is such an interesting case to me is because on the show, Brit was never, just so you know, Brit never saw the photo because she left the event before it was displayed.
Mhm.
So when Kenya displayed the event for the Housewives and this, let's say 50 people,
All of this is on a television show.
All of this
yes,
is airing. So
yes,
50 people present, but the world 1.2.7 million people
but
watching
there's a
it.
difference, Courtney. So I want to make sure to tell Terry the
Okay.
difference. In real time, the, at Kenya Salon, the Housewives and 50 people saw an unedited photo of a woman performing fellatio. Okay?
Her reaction was
Okay.
priceless. And now you're
Kenya
fuming.
said this was Brit Eady.
Mhm.
Brit Eady left the room 5 minutes before Kenya showed the photo. So when the photo was shown, um, the other housewife left, thought it was disgusting, blah, 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 blah. The ladies told Brit, she
Mhm.
showed a photo of you performing fellatio, right? So Brit ran with that narrative. She never, because so she wasn't there to see it. She ran with the narrative of it. Now, based on what she said on the show, she said when that happened, I was young. So although she didn't see it, she did say there is a photo of me doing that, but I was young. And she gave all the reasons why it was out there, how embarrassed she was, and all and all the things. She um continued filming. Kenya got suspended.
Mhm.
Oh, immediately. They ceased filming
Right.
with Kenya.
But they
Brit
still aired it.
they
They aired the
so
episode.
the 50 people saw the unedited photo. What they aired was a blurred, you couldn't see. It
No, no,
was
no. I mean, they aired the incident.
correct. Yes.
Yeah. And it kept going. Like they not only aired the incident when Kenya got suspended, it kept that particular storyline alive because when you go back to why Kenya was suspended, all roads lead back to. So if I'm picking it up at episode 10 and I'm like, well, Kenya's not here and people are talking about that in real time, then I'm going to go back to episode 6 and see, well, why? What led up to it? Because now we control how we watch television. Um, all of these things are on demand. So again, it's just it
And
was
and
a
I'm just
mess.
gonna say that in anytime you see a hostile workplace alleged, it's not just that it happened one time,
Mm,
it's when it's allowed to continue.
mm.
What did the employer do to stop the hostile workplace or the impression of such?
And because they suspended her, proper word, the moment that incident happened in real time, she did not film since. They suspended Kenya. And Brit was allowed to continue filming. Kenya was suspended.
Right. And hasn't
Which
returned.
which see it seems like this is layered with a lot more issues than just a contractual dispute, which
Yeah.
would probably lend to why the case has moved now to federal court, because now it looks like there may be some federal laws, because when you're talking about airing things that such as this on television, now we're talking about federal laws. Then you're talking about civil right protections. And, there we possibly could be talking about things that happen across state lines in filming. Not sure if they filmed only in Atlanta or in different places. So there's so many variables where it may explain why the case is now more appropriate for federal court.
And I wanted to ask you that because um she refiled at the federal level. And now is it and according to the new federal complaint, Terrinee, she's not seeking a specific dollar amount, right? Instead, she is requesting compensatory damages, punitive damages, attorney fees, and additional relief deemed appropriate by the court.
And she wants this to be a jury trial, right?
Um, based
But
on
I will
correct.
just say, while he's checking that, actual damages you have to prove. So I lost this amount of money, I lost this amount of contracts. It impeded my ability to work here or there or what. You have to actually calculate your actual damages. Punitive damages is where you can say, a jury can say, this behavior is so reprehensible. We're going to put a number on here where you
Mhm.
never do this again. And when we're talking about corporations or big businesses, the numbers tend to increase, because when you say $5 or $10 million to a regular civilian, that is a lot of money that would bankrupt our entire family. But when you're talking about large corporations, $5 or $10 million may not put a dent in their operation. So that's why punitive damages are allowed, because that's when you hear these huge verdicts like $100 million, or, in Florida, there was a $1 billion verdict against big tobacco that was later appealed. But I'm just saying, these are the kind of verdicts that they want to send them. The jury is saying, this is so egregious. I want to send a message
Right.
to the corporations and to other corporations, do not do this again.
Not do this.
Attorney's fees are going to be actually what you spent. So, again, that may be a part of the reason why the language has changed, because now the jury is going to get to decide what the number is for punitive damages. But
Mm.
the plaintiff still has to actually show actual damages and calculate the attorney's fees.
And the
Got it.
actual damages is losing money because of this scandal.
Right.
losing jobs, losing income because of the scandal.
She can base it off of her contract, her existing contract with them.
Well, she
Um,
continued filming. She got paid for all the episodes she was in.
but she could have pegged herself as the next Nene Leakes or Bethany Frankel of the franchise.
But
She
they
could
didn't
have
fire
said
her.
they didn't fire her.
No, she
She
quit.
quit. But that's what I'm saying. But she's kind of forced to quit because it was a hostile working environment,
Well, no, I was
allegedly,
just saying,
according to her.
I was just talking just strictly based on the punitive damages because if I can prove to you I lost money, how is that even possible in terms of the networks, right? When, like Tyranny said, which is again now we kind of can understand the legal conversation that was happening behind closed doors.
Yep.
You have to get rid of Kenya, right?
You have
Like
to.
you just have to, right? If you this is me saying it based on the facts of the situation. Now I understand why they had to suspend Kenya because if she continued filming, it would have
Made it
my
worse.
my legal opinion is Brit would have had a much better case for a hostile work environment based on this woman
Right.
who showed this photo. But now she has to prove how did this affect your bottom line. So we'll see what she says with that. But they did not fire her. They continued filming with her. She decided to quit the show a few days before taping the reunion. So the other thing I just want, because I want to paint the picture for Tyranny, is that particular moment of the photo being shown to that moment being shown, excuse me, not the photo because it was blurred, was maybe episode 5 or 6.
Hmm. Six, I think.
6, I think. There were 12 more episodes after that. And it wasn't until they were ready to tape the reunion that she said it wasn't me. And that's why a lot of people were confused because they were like, you let these episodes air. You went on Watch What Happens Live after that moment. You told Andy Cohen how you felt. That's why a lot of people are surprised. I just wanted to paint the picture for Tyranny.
Which is why we have to allow for them to get to the discovery in order to review the evidence in court. Because there is a lot of presumptions, once again, that may or may not be true. The court is going, which is, and let me just say this for the raindrops and for you all, less than 2% of federal civil cases make it to trial.
Say that one more
Mm.
time.
There's always okay.
Less than 2% of federal civil cases make it to trial.
There's
Before
usually a
that
settlement
happens, they can settle.
or
It
dismiss.
could be dismissed due to motions. Because now that it's in federal court, it has to go through different motions and it has to survive.
Hmm.
Of course, the defendants are going to put forth a case of why this should be dismissed. But once or if it survives, then you get to discovery. The discovery is where you're going to see all of the internal communications, all of the documents. Everything's going to be time stamped. You're going to really get a timeline of what happened, when it happened, how it happened. And that could lead to a settlement. It could lead to a dismissal, or it could lead to some kind of pretrial negotiations with motions before. So, again, this is why I always say let's not jump to any presumptions, but lawyers do not file lawsuits in federal court generally without having some evidence.
Mm.
Can you, so before we wrap up, I do want to, can I break down what she's alleging and can you explain to us what that means?
Yes.
I think we all understand sexual harassment and hostile work environment. So I think raindrops, we know that. Gender motivated violence.
Mm.
What is what does that mean?
It means that based on her gender, there was violence perpetrated towards her
As a woman,
as a
mm,
woman.
Okay.
Meaning
doing
that
fellatio.
this is not the type of I guess, generally, this is not the type of conduct or an issue a man would have to deal with.
Oh, okay, okay. An explicit photo of performed. Okay. Um, Georgia
Hmm.
non-consensual intimate image law violations.
Mm.
Say it again. This
Yep.
is in this is in federal court now. Did you say Georgia?
It says Georgia here. Not it says Georgia non-consensual intimate image law violations, which I'm assuming image means the photo.
The photo. She didn't give consent.
She didn't give consent
Okay,
to basically
Error.
show a what do we call it? Undress photo.
got it.
Okay.
I think we all know what intentional infliction of emotional distress means. I think we know that. Negligence in this particular negligence.
The negligence could be a variety of things, but it could be of the handling of the situation, the handling
Yep.
of the images, the post handling of the situation, because you got to understand that there's more than one way to stop workplace harassment. It doesn't mean, oh, if I just do one thing, then I'm off the hook. So if I get rid of a bad actor, but I still perpetuate an environment that makes bad actors comfortable, the workplace harassment could be continuing.
And right.
Mm.
You got one of the things that I also read very, very early on,
Wait,
and
Court, I
the
got two
reason,
more.
okay, okay, go, 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 go.
I'm sorry. No, no,
No,
no,
no,
no. Okay.
no, go.
Um, I think we all know contract related claims. We don't have a
Yeah.
contract, so we can't speak to that. Okay, but last
Yes, but
one.
I will like to say this about contracts.
Go ahead.
The contract is going to matter. So
Okay.
because you negotiated a bad contract isn't just going to let you off the hook. You don't get to say, now I got a bad contract, now I'm mad, and now I'm going to sue you. You're going to need something more than you negotiate a bad contract. You're going to have to show some conduct that actually violates a protected class or protected activity. It's not just simple like, hey, I work in a bad environment. Like there are a lot of bad environments where we work in that may not rise to the level of actually violating a protected class or protected behavior. And this
Right.
is back to the raindrops. Y'all know I'm contract driven. Always, always. And I understand that sometimes people are going to say that the networks and the producers have all the power, but a contract can be, at the very least, read. And I don't
Mhm.
mean that you per se has to read it. This is where it's really important for you to get legal counsel. No one should sign any contract without
Right.
legal consultation because you need someone reading the fine print.
Yeah.
We don't know what's in this contract. This contract may have said something that deals with this kind of behavior that gives the network an out because the network, like I said, has a huge legal team.
Yeah. Yeah.
All networks have huge legal teams. So again, contracts can be negotiated, and just because they have the power, that does not mean that they are not willing to actually make some amendments. Because there are certain things, like Courtney said, that networks are always going to have the final say because they've put resources into things and like that. But there's small tweaks. I mean, I was a contract lawyer before I became a judge where you can change a word or two and it
Word.
changes. You
Mhm.
you can change a word from shall to may, and it
Right.
changes the whole understanding. And those little tweaks are things that people, when they're dealing with contracts, should really kind of focus in on. But at the very least, the contract has to be read, and you should get a lawyer to consult it to give you legal consultation before signing it. Because a lot of people are just so excited to be on reality TV and they probably just sign it away, kind of skim over it, don't really read it. People tell them, oh, it's standard. This is a standard contract, it's standard jargon. No, you need a lawyer.
And last one, vicarious liability.
Vicarious liability. What is that? Break that down for us.
That I guess you are going to be liable through the actions of someone else due to your positioning.
Mm, mhm,
Oh,
mhm. So when people say, I'm living vicariously through you, she's saying, she's alluding, I'm suing you vicariously by what you allowed your other talent to do.
through Kenya in this case, right? Through Kenya, because she's not suing Kenya. So
Well, because
vicarious
I really do.
liability, yeah.
I believe that she's feeling the onus is on the network because ultimately they knew. One of the things that I read, and I could have gotten this wrong, so let me know if you read this too. She was saying that the props went to like Staples or something. Like they had this poster made of her, the photo that was made and on display, like a PA went to get it, it was picked up. So there's a lot of, coercion and planning that went into this scene that was filmed. Did you hear anything about that, Carlos? You have a sinister look on your face.
No, repeat the last part.
What I think a lot of people want to know when this came up for me, because I was asked about this as someone who show ran shows before. Like I'm always asked, what part does producers, executive producers, what part do we play? Because we know when we're filming a scene, when we're filming these scenes, we pretty much have a basis of what's about to happen,
Oh, in this
allegedly.
case, they
They
had no
feel like
idea.
the audience feel,
In this case, production had no idea what she was
uh-huh,
doing. They had no idea.
okay,
So when Kenya showed the poster board, everybody, meaning the
was
production,
shocked and
was
appalled.
shocked. They had no idea she was doing this. They had no clue. Now, to your point earlier, in terms of staples and all of those things, there was a poster board saying, "Who is this hoe?" And there were several photo images of her in, um,
Compromising positions.
yeah, and not nothing sexual, just like, she called her insurance fraud hoe and all these other things. So the poster board had these images, and then one poster board is when it was the explicit photo on that one. So
Right.
yeah, somebody listen, unless Kenya has a jet printer at the crib, like you said,
Right.
somebody has to print it, do all the things. So yeah, but I wanted to make sure that production had no idea she was doing this. Zero. And
Production did.
production did, and was not happy. Was not
Right.
happy. Was not happy with it. And was just like, why? And in Kenya's defense, she has said on record that she did this on her own.
On her own.
So,
So then the bigger question becomes why the network chose to still air it. Because we shoot lots of scenes all the time that never make air and live on the cutting room floor. Where does the onus and responsibility of the conglomerate lie?
well, again, I think that's something that we're about to find out just based on the going
Yeah.
federal. Because again, I don't have the answer to it.
Right. No.
Yeah, I think
That's
that's
what
why.
we call it discovery.
Discovery. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we also call it integrity. And Carlos is a creator and executive producer of integrity. I strive to be one. Um, because when anything fails and anyone walks away from an experience that was supposed to be good, we're not just here to spill tea and destroy lives. Like we're also as producers impacted, and whatever we can control, we typically um, do try to operate in integrity.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
once they get through the motions phase, if it survives, discovery is where the money is.
Right.
Mm.
Discovery is going to tell exactly what happened. And
Yeah.
so that if it makes it to discovery, then a lot of questions will be answered for the court and
Yeah.
in
Got it.
turn for the public.
Yeah.
As for Kenya, Carlos King, have you heard from her? Have you spoken to her? How's she doing? Even though she's not being sued, um, does
Well,
she
no,
feel like she
no, guys, answer your question. I'm sorry.
does she feel like she was the scapegoat for this? Does she feel like she had to die on the sword for this? How is she?
Well, she did a live on Sunday and she appears to be in a great mood. She talked about how she has several projects in the works. She talked about how she hasn't burned the bridge with Bravo. So she was in really good spirits.
Okay.
Um, she's been busy. I haven't spoken to her in a minute, but um, I did see some clips of her live on Sunday, and she has red hair, honey, and she is living her life. Yeah,
And
yeah.
what about Brit? Has anybody
No, Brit has kept a low profiles. You know,
since this?
yeah, she hasn't been out there like that at all. Honestly, she just hasn't. She's definitely did a good job keeping just like a very low profile.
Got it.
Yeah, so Raindrops, you guys have a jam-packed episode. Listen, this one I feel was one of our most educational ones because I'm walking away from having so much knowledge based on Tyranny's breakdown, from
Mm-hmm.
the criminal case that we saw with the Cephos to the civil
Civil.
case we are talking about with Brit Eady. So Raindrops, let us know in the comments your thoughts, and we will continue to update you as more things progress. Thank you,
All
Courtney. Thank you,
right.
Terrinee.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.